Hi, Welsh Metals here. Going to be doing a talk today on some precious metals extracted from e-waste items. Lots of shiny stuff here to show today. Look at that. All sorts of valuable materials in here. These are all samples, as you can see, on side of sample jars. Many nice things here. Many different types of metals. Tantalum, gold, ruthenium, rhodium, silver. There's also tin and antimony and various other alloys inside of there. So have a look at all of them one at a time. Sorry about that. There we go. Nice angle going. So first up, we have forked pins. These are extracted from your standard electronic type connectors. Not too valuable, these, but this jar will probably be containing about maybe 200 milligrams of gold if you're lucky, maybe a bit less, value of which won't be too much unless it's refined, but there is quite a lot inside of here, as you can see. Quite a filled jar. These are considered low quality though compared to other materials. So I'm looking at another one. Here we have PCB retrieved waste. As you can see, this is all off circuit boards. This is from acid treatment. There's a large amount of gold inside of this, but it is all microscopic, mixed in with copper, as you can see, from circuit board traces. Now there's an unknown amount inside of here, but I'd estimate there's around a gram of gold buried within this material. But it would need to be refined via various acid treatments on top of what it already has. Let's look at some high quality stuff now. Now these are CPU pins. These things come off GPUs and CPUs. You can see they're extremely shiny. And these are considered high quality gold recovery materials. Over an ounce in here. And this can contain around half gram of gold once refined, so quite a lot. And there is also some silver in there, as you can see, powdery silver material. And there's probably about a gram of silver in there also. So this is worth a little bit. This jar is probably worth around 20-30 pounds, something like that, depending on the gold price of this day. Here we have ramstick foils, as you can see. These were extracted via simple desoldering and scraping them off the boards in order to reduce the amount of contamination and copper. As you can see, they're quite shiny. These are again considered quite high yield for recovery for refiners from electronic waste. Quite a lot. Let's look at some more. Here we have fuses. These are the electric type fuses that you find within electronic devices, various ones. These are massive amounts of gold inside of these. Each one has several 70 odd milligrams, something like that, as well as silver, depending on the size of the crystal chip. And these are all SMD components, but as you can see, a lot of them are extremely small. Not too many in this jar, as you can see, but you can also see there are very high quality materials inside of there. Worth a little bit, not sure how much, because it can be so variable. But if I had to guess, with this jar, I'd say about 10 to 15 pounds worth of materials inside of there. Probably a bit less, same with most of these materials, too variable. Here we have long pins. These are from PC connectors, from large type PCB boards. As you can see, there's a massive amount inside of here. This jar is completely filled. It's incredibly shiny. These contain not too much, as they're only plated with gold, like the forked connectors that I showed in the beginning. So probably only about 100 milligrams, maybe that, inside of here in gold content, but there's also some silver you can see on the ends of all these connectors. very pretty. Let's look at some more. These are exotic type connectors here we have. So these are from audio connectors and such. There's large amounts of plated gold material in here. Some of it's quite high quality, but due to the fact that it's from high quality audio systems and stereos. You can see the high carat due to the coloration. It's a little bit more here. As you can see, it's very, very, very gold looking. Good for examination. Extremely shiny. So let's move on to something more exotic. Here we have palladium. Now palladium is more valuable than gold at the moment, and the price seems to be dramatically increasing and decreasing at silly rates for various reasons. Now there's 50 grams within this jar, which by my math should contain around 1 gram of palladium, which could be worth anywhere between 100 and 120 pounds. So this jar is worth quite a lot once refined, and the palladium recovered from these MLCC capacitors. You can see these are the brown type SMD capacitors, and they're quite easy to get hold of this many due to they're quite large. Let's have a look at some tantalum recovery materials. This is also quite valuable, around £10 per gram. Now these are SMD capacitors, and these contain around 30 to 50% tantalum. So there is quite a lot of tantalum in these, and the recovery ratio is again variable. But if you had 100 grams of tantalum capacitors like this, you are likely to retrieve around 10 grams of tantalum, which is worth about £100. So quite valuable material to mine from electronics. And as you can see, the components are quite large and not too difficult to miss. The orange and black ones contain tantalum. The ones marked with a positive and negative pole, in order to be sure that see there on that one. Just about to see. See if I can find a better one to examine. As they are quite shiny. I'll take one out. There we go. See the black line on one side? That donates that it's negative on that pole and positive on the other, showing you that it's a capacitor, and it's an SMD capacitor, which makes it tantalum. So let's look at some other things. Here we have silver solder, quite a lot, recovered from circuit board PCBs. As you can see, this is being cleaned and is relatively free of any contamination. Now this contains around, from computer components anyway, around 2 to 1% silver. The rest is tin and antimony, which is again valuable metals contained within the silver solder. Named such due to the small amount of silver contained within, but it is usually an alloy. There's quite a lot in here, as you can see, and it's very shiny material. Good for silver recovery if need be, but it does make for nice ingots, as I have made quite a few e-waste ingots from this type material, and they always come out lovely. So it's good for making jewellery, DIY jewellery, I'd say. So I keep that for that reason. Let's move on to something real exotic here. Now these are SMD capacitors, as you can see. These are absolutely tiny little things. Ridiculous so. And quite difficult to retrieve due to they need to be manually removed via very small tweezers and a magnifying glass. It can take a massive amount of time. But these contain trace amounts of the extremely super rare materials rhodium and ruthenium, which are two extremely rare transitional type metals, and very, very rare and very valuable. Yeah. So these contain only trace amounts, but once you have enough, you will likely get a few milligrams. Inside here, I estimate there is around 10 to 20 milligrams of each of these extremely rare type metals, rhodium and ruthenium. Sound as exotic and rare as they are. So these are worth collecting, but extremely laborious to do so. The amount of time it took to collect these, definitely not economical. Well, you're not going to be making any money from it, but it is very nice for an element collection. And if you want to someday try and extract these extremely rare valuable metals, which will someday no doubt increase in their value even more so. Let's have a look at some silver material here today. This is from crushed crystal oscillators. There's around 1/2 gram inside of this jar of silver. I have a video on that, and this is the material recovered from that video after crushing around 100 or so crystal oscillators, which are little sort of silver blocks. You'll see. Have a look on my channel for the video. Here we have black MLCC capacitors. Again, these can contain palladium and other materials, silver and nickel, things like that. And trace amounts of the super rare metals I just told you about, ruthenium and rhodium, but even less so than the resistors. Resistors are extremely small. You'll be going for the smaller components for recovering the super rare metals like that. So there's quite a lot there also. Let's look at something else. One of the most futuristic metals inside of here, and that is the metal germanium, which is a metalloid, in fact, which is not really a metal, but it's not really a stone. It's somewhere in between. Now this is used in ultra high speed fiber optic cable for internet, as well as artificial intelligence optics for like zooming in really far, night vision, infrared detectors for hunter-killer missiles, things like that, and extremely smart, expensive drones with expensive optics. So germanium is quite valuable. These are in fact Zener diodes, which is a type of electronic device used to block currents and such. Let's look at some more exotic gold material. Now here we have gold plated fuses, quite rare, quite valuable. I've seen these for sale on the internet on things like eBay, and they do not go for cheap. Due to the amount of gold that there is on there, you can see they're extremely shiny and glint incredibly well. I believe this is a higher carat, possibly 22 to 24 carat gold, and it's likely carat gold, so triple plated materials rather than single plate, which means there is a little bit of gold to be had on these, but they are quite rare. I've only found these on a few types of electronic devices, such as computer components, but not all computer components contain them. Better off looking for the computer components within extremely expensive £1,000 widescreen TVs, which is where I found these ones. So, but that was the computer contained within the TV, usually. So they're not in every component and computer component. Here we have some fuses, SMD fuses, surface mount devices. These are extremely small, many are only millimeters in size. Now these contain silver as well as copper alloy. The copper alloy is in fact tellurium copper, type of rare copper. Now it only contains small trace amounts again, but they're are inside these small sort of tiny fuses, usually green coloured, as you can see, but they do come in other colours such as white, grey and such. Also some larger types in there. You can almost see the copper on the edges there. There we go, see it shining towards this edge. And that contains small amounts of tellurium mixed in with the copper. Now, last thing here, some gold containing exotic materials and connectors. These are all coaxial connectors. You may have seen them before. They connect to the gigahertz Wi-Fi part of most phones and interactive devices. Let's have a quick little look at them. They are extremely small, however. There we go. Now these are obviously gold plated, I'm not sure to what degree, probably triple plated like I just mentioned. So there's probably quite a bit of gold to be had on these, but due to the amount, I'd say these little tiny jars are only worth £1 or £2. So not too much, but they are quite nice, as you can see. And there is also quite an amount of gold on them. There's other materials inside here, like a single gold plated oscillator. That's that bar thing there, which is a gold version of the fuse that I previously mentioned that I got silver from. You can also get gold from those fuses, but it is quite rare, as you need expensive optics or watches and things like that to extract them from. So, is it worth it to mine gold and precious metals from EWaste? Most definitely. As this box here is quite valuable. If I had to estimate it, like this as it is, I could probably sell it for around £100 to £120 maybe, but that would not even come close to the amount of gold that you'd be able to extract in money and other precious metals such as palladium, in which case it would be worth double that amount once refined, so around £250, something like that, due to the palladium, which is extremely valuable, the amount of gold and precious metals, unusual precious metals. So there's EWaste mined materials, or connectors and such. I will do more videos of these types in the future and show more of these very shiny things. Hope you learned something. I'll see you next time.